Gloryhammer is a power metal band, which has a very expansive and deep storyline, which is continuing to be created. However, I have noticed there is a distinct lack of explanation for the storyline, so I'm here to fill in that gap. A lot of the information in the beginning of this is written on the timeline linked to the description created by Christopher Bowles and therefore is canon. But some of the information I do give later on will not be entirely correct, and I do apologise for that. I've tried my best to piece together what I can. But before getting into the story, however, I want to explain the setting, which is necessary to know before venturing into the actual storyline. At the centre of the story, we have Angus MacFife and his descendants, Angus MacFife II, Angus MacFife V, and Angus MacFife XIII. They all play a pretty significant part in the storyline, which we know so far, but there are only 4 studio albums, and therefore there's a lot missing. Thomas Winkler, ex-frontman, used to play him, but now is played by Sozos Michael, so if you see there's 2 different people, that's why. Then we have our heroes, which join Angus on his journey. The Hoots man, which we introduce later on, is played by bassist James Cartwright. Ralathor, who will also be introduced, is played by drummer Ben Turk. He is a character which really confuses me, and I really don't know how to wrap my head around it yet, but I'm trying my best. Finally, we have Prelicious, who will also be introduced, and is played by guitarist Paul Templing. Finally, we have our villain, Zargothrax, played by keyboardist Christopher Bowles and Michael Barber. The story takes place in Scotland, a barren wasteland within Scotland. The main setting is Dundee, or the Kingdom of Fife. Now that you have a very basic understanding of the story, let's go back in time to around 10,000 BD. BD is before Dundee, by the way. Roughly 10,000 years before Dundee, the Star Lords of Eternity wage an epic battle against an unknown evil, defeating the evil with 3 artifacts: the Hammer of Glory, the Knife of Evil, and the Vorpal Laser Blaster. The artifacts are hidden in a barren wasteland called Scotland on a remote planet called Earth in the outer reaches of the galaxy, in order to stop them from falling into the wrong hands. If these would come together, it would create something so powerful that would need to be destroyed, especially if it does land into the wrong hands. A boy named Zargothrax is born into a family of basket-weaving peasants in the Scottish town of Auchtermuchty. The legendary hero, Dundax, is born. Dundax founds the city of Dundee and proclaims the Kingdom of Fife. His home in Auchtermuchty is destroyed to make way for a royal palace. Zargothrax reads from the forbidden scrolls of Anstruther and makes a demonic pact. By doing so, he gains immense powers and swears his revenge on the Prince of Dundee, as well as Dundee itself, for destroying his home. The scrolls tell of a prophecy that Dundee will fall, and thus Zargothrax is very interested. Zargothrax clones himself using his new powers multiple times, and hides the duplicate bodies in cryogenic stasis. They'll only be awakened in the event of his death. A hermit is sighted in a cave beneath Cowdenbeath. He hides there for 307 years. Zargothrax finds the Knife of Evil in the swamps of Paisley and begins to corrupt unicorns to do his bidding. Led by sorcerer Zargothrax, unicorns invade Dundee in 1992, and this is the start of the albums. Under the spell of the evil wizard, the unicorns, once noble and majestic creatures which used to be good, and now forced to serve evil, slaying all that they see. Zargothrax wishes to take control and destroy Dundee in order to enthrone himself as written in Anstruther's prophecy. During this invasion, a princess is taken to prison by Zargothrax. Angus MacFife I swears an oath to destroy him and take back his love. We then introduce to our hero, Angus MacFife, who is riding away from the newly destroyed Dundee, who swears that he'll never give up until the evil sorcerer is dead. Then, we find out that the princess is frozen in a dungeon of an ancient castle. But yeah, his quest is the destruction of Zargothrax and the retrieval of his beautiful princess. However, Angus knows that his old armor and his old weapons are no longer able to defeat the evils of Zargothrax. He has a dream. In order to defeat Zargothrax, he must find the Hammer of Glory, fly a magical dragon, and obtain the Amulet of Justice. And thus, he begins his quest to find the weapon of ultimate steel, the Hammer of Glory, which has the power to slay all of his foes. The Hammer of Glory lies in a mystical shrine atop a mountain in Cairngorms. I'm very bad at pronouncing Scottish words. The Hammer of Glory is one which the gods must grant to him, only if a warrior has a heart of pure steel, and a quest which they deem heroic. Obviously, Angus's quest is very heroic, and thus he retrieves the hammer and raises it to the heavens above. Now Angus rides his steed into the deepest forest of Strathclyde in order to find himself a dragon. Angus stumbles across a village with wizards who reveal themselves to him. They saw him through a magical ball, in an enchanted chamber with a mirror and fire. The wizards say that he must defeat this chamber in order to gain the magic dragon as a reward. He agrees, and suddenly a demon appears, and in an epic fight, he defeats the demon and a dragon appears. Angus speaks the words of a magical scroll, and the magic dragon becomes his. What's special about this dragon? He can cast spells and fly through the skies. Silent Tears of a Frozen Princess tells the story of Prince Angus' love for the princess. Angus is devastated about his and her kingdom, but he knows he can save her, and that is what's keeping him sane. Her laugh, her smile, their memories. He knows that she will always love him. He will destroy Zargothrax, and he will save Dundee, and he will thaw the princess from the ancient castle. His resolve comes from her. But in order to save his love, he must obtain the Amulet of Justice, in order to free her from the spell. Flying on his magical dragon, he's guided by the powers of the universe in order to find the Amulet of Justice. The necklace lies at the bottom of Loch Rannoch, and is the only way he can save the Queen. He saw it in his dream, and is the only way, as it says, is the only hope for fire. Angus then travels far east to the majestic town only known as Crail. The Crail warriors train to become epic fighters to join the Knights of Crail, who fight and fly on eagles and complete quests. Their leader is Grand Master Prelicious, who later dies at the age of 140. They won the Battle of Cowdenbeath, saved Dunkeld, and never lost a fight. And thus, Angus allies with them, whilst he is on his quest to destroy Zargothrax. Angus then travels through the town of Cowdenbeath in order to confront the sorcerer Zargothrax. The Knights of Crail fight in the fields in Dunfermline, whilst Angus is flying atop his dragon. Then, a barbarian warrior joins the cause in order to defend his king, the barbarian warrior of Unst. They ride to the citadel where Zargothrax hides. The tower is tall and mighty and cannot be climbed by the warrior of Unst and his king. Thus, they must travel through the secret tunnels created by the dwarves. Along the way, they encounter a hermit, Ralathor, who knows the secret path to the castle. Angus is now faced with Zargothrax, and in a single swing of his Hammer of Glory, the wizard falls, very anticlimactically, but he falls into a pit of liquid ice, encasing him and immortalizing him in a cage of cosmic frost. Atop the tower, Angus MacFife holds the Amulet of Justice, channeling its power and its ancient force, freeing the unicorns from their spell and awakening Princess Iona MacDougall, his long-lost love. By doing so, Angus restores cosmic balance in Dundee, where they now breed stronger houses in order to lessen their chances of dying. The frozen body of Zargothrax is transported to the fortress of Crail, where he would be guarded for all of eternity. Ralathor 38B agrees to be vaporized by Ralathor 38 Prime in order to preserve continuity. Ralathor Prime takes up a teaching position at the College of Wizards in Dundee. Angus MacFife II is born. The barbarian warrior of Unst, the Hoots man as he is now known, sails across the ocean to begin his quest in America. In 1527, Angus MacFife V discovers the telescope and also discovers outer space. Then, in 1529, he travels through a dimensional gateway which takes him to 1993. The Kingdom of Fife spreads across the galaxy, and the frozen corpse of Zargothrax is moved to a new location on Neptune's moon, Triton, where he is guarded by the Knights of Crail. In 1970, Angus MacFife XIII is born, and this is kind of when the next album starts, except the next album takes us to the distant future of 1992, where war has returned. However, this album takes place when Dundee has turned into an intergalactic empire of Fife. 1,000 years later, the Kingdom of Fife is still ruled by Angus MacFife. However, it's now ruled by Angus MacFife XIII. The Knights of Krail still guard the frozen and immortal body of Zargothrax. Due to the size of the Intergalactic Empire of Fife, it is obviously attracting some new forces of evil, and the Chaos Wizards are trying to fight the throne. They know where Zargothrax is hidden because of their magical spells, and they go to Neptune's satellite planet, Triton, where the Fortress of Krail is now situated. However, the Knights of Krail are not powerful enough to fight back against the evils of the Chaos Wizards, and are unfortunately defeated. Zargothrax rises once more from his prison. Zargothrax no longer wishes to just rule Dundee, he wants to burn the universe, as cosmic infinity courses through his veins. Angus still wields the Hammer of Glory. However, it has been passed down through 13 generations, and has a few modifications. The hammer is now powered by lasers entwined in a star, and has a crystal enchantment put upon it. The Hammer of Glory is one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. There are two more relics, or artifacts as they're called, one wielded by Zargothrax, known as the Knife of Evil. The other, we don't know where it is. Angus realizes that Zargothrax is rising once again, and must prepare to fight through assembling a band of heroes of Dundee. There isn't a lot of explicit information in this song about who the Goblin King or the Lords of the Moon are, but I believe the Goblin King is someone who Zargothrax bands up with in order to fight the Intergalactic Empire of Fife, and the Lords of the Moon are just vassals of the Empire. The Goblin King gives Zargothrax the information about the magical crystal, which would allow Zargothrax to destroy the Empire using a demon. Deep on Earth, there lives a mighty citadel where Zargothrax can bring this demon back to life, using the crystal key thing. Now, after the events of the first album, the barbarian warrior of Unst crosses America, where he slaughters everything and becomes the king of California. He kind of becomes a god figure to both Angus and California, where he is also a movie star, and therefore Hollywood Hoots man, right? We find out he's immortal, and his legend grows through centuries due to the power of Hoots. Hence the name the Hoots Man. Angus MacFife XIII bands up with the Hoots Man, and he joins the crew to fight the forces of Zargothrax, just like in the first album. However, Angus meets more than just the Hoots Man, and knows that the Knights of Krail are gone. However, a hero cannot just be defeated this easily, and even though the Knights of Krail are still dead, they are not gone. Proletheus is resurrected using the hologram technology created by the Tech Mages and instructed by Sir Regulon, who is the only survivor of the Chaos Wizards. Proletheus then retakes his position as the Grand Master of the Knights of Krail, and then calls out to the universe, telling all the greatest warriors to newly formed Space Knights of Krail, who still ride on eagles. The Quest Lords of Inverness are a group of Quest Lords, kind of like the Space Knights, who help the heroes fight the demon horde on Mars. They're a pretty small force, and they aren't super necessary to exist. Universe on Fire is in the perspective of both Zargothrax and Angus is explaining how he wants to set the universe on fire. This is not him saying that he wants to set the actual universe on fire. It's just because he knows how powerful his army is and how it could destroy the universe. He's not a bad guy, yet. Within this album, Angus MacFife XIII is extremely overconfident and believes he can easily kill Zargothrax. However, Zargothrax's lyrics are simply just how he was recharging his solar gun and preparing for a battle, as well as finding the crystal stone in order to resurrect the demon of Corverlia, in order to actually destroy the universe. Heroes is kind of a hype song for Angus MacFife XIII, the Hoots Man and Space Knights of Krail. The song begins with Angus flying on his dragon made of steel, possibly the magic dragon from the first album. They are all fighting in the name of Fife, and to annihilate Zargothrax in the name of cosmic justice.
And lo, led by the valiant hero Angus MacFife XIII, the forces of justice assembled their armies in the skies above Mars in preparation for the epic battle against the demon horde. But on planet Earth, a far more sinister machination was afoot. In the dwarven caverns beneath the mighty citadel of Dundee, the evil wizard Zargothrax began to recite the dread incantation which would unlock the chaos portal to the galactic nexus, as foretold in the dark prophecy of Anstruther countless centuries ago. As he placed the Goblin King's crystal key into the altar before him, ancient runes began to glow on the surface of the portal. Soon the gateway would open, and the Elder God Gloryhammer of the 18th Hell Dimension would be unleashed onto the galaxy. The countdown to universal annihilation had begun!
Led by Angus MacFife XIII, the heroes of Dundee, the forces of justice have assembled to begin the battle on Mars against the demon horde. The Space Knights of Krail are the first to encounter the demon hordes, powered by their lasers and fighting with their might. Arriving with the speed of light, the astral Dwarven King of Aberdeen bursts into battle, using his crystal laser battle axe. In this war on Mars, the quest lords of Inverness fall, obliterated by an infinity bomb sent by Zargothrax, erasing their existence from literally all of history, like they no longer exist and never will exist. Ever. Ever. They are gone. Supposedly, Zargothrax is kind of a good person. He simply wants to use his demon army to liberate the multiverse from slavery and fear. I'm not really sure if this is the right way to do it. I think that this kind of begs the question, is the Intergalactic Empire fight actually good? Is Angus MacFife XIII actually a hero? However, it is not too late for the heroes, as an ancient hermit arrives from the cave beneath Dundee. Yes, the hermit from the first album still exists 1,000 years later. A message which he tells the heroes that Call for Heliath and the end of the universe is near. But it's not over yet. The barbarian Hootsman has a secret heart. He's a cyborg, powered by a nuclear neutron star, and that's why he's immortal for all space and time. However, he must make a final sacrifice, to save the human race and save the galaxy. This will mean he'll be destroying planet Earth and all of Dundee, by detonating his nuclear heart and sacrificing his own life. He also kills all human life on Earth. So, yeah, sacrificing himself, but also everyone else. With the implosion caused by both the spawning of Corva Heliath and the nuclear heart being exploded, the Earth is completely vaporized, causing a rift in space. Using the last shards of power which Zargothrax has left, he plunges through the space rift, or the space portal, vanishing into another reality. And so has Angus MacFife XIII, following him into the wormhole to the eternal glory of Dundee. With the end of Earth came a wormhole which the Hootsman, Zargothrax, and Angus MacFife XIII travelled in, each arriving in the Terrorvortex dimension at completely different times. The Hootsman arrived in, 10 million BD. Zargothrax arrives 10 BD, and Angus arrives in 1992. The Hootsman becomes the god of the Terrorvortex universe, and Zargothrax kills a suspiciously familiar peasant in Octomocty, as well as Dundax, making it impossible for Dundee to actually exist. In 505, Ralathor Prime is born and takes an interest in submarines. In 990 AD, Zargothrax stabs Prelicious and becomes the Dreadlord Prelicious with the Knife of Evil, infecting his brain with literally math, turning him into the Allies and Servant of Chaos. Angus arrives in this destroyed Dundee of the Terrorvortex dimension. I mean, Dundee literally doesn't exist. It's just, I guess, still called Dundee? I don't know. A siege is taking place by the armies of darkness invading Dunkeld, where a symbol of chaos flies around Dundee, which is ruled by Zargothrax. However, Angus is face to face with Zargothrax and is about to kill him with a swing of his hammer. But as it turns out, it doesn't work in this dimension, according to science. Literally, what Chris Bowes said. The Knights of Krail have been corrupted by the dark power of the evil knife of evil. No. The Knights of Krail have been corrupted by the dark power of the Knife of Evil, as Sir Prelicious was stabbed, and instead creating the Death Knights of Krail, who seek to kill, destroy, and just do whatever bad things they want to the people of Scotland. Now that Angus has escaped the evil Zargothrax, he must quest to take back the throne of Dundee and decorrupt it. However, not much of Scotland is safe, though he is told there is a land where truth and justice still exist, past the River Tay and over mountains. The forces of justice have laid out a path to get to this land, and though Angus must still fight trolls and undead defenders of chaos, he continues to search for this land. And as he clears the valley of Ashnasheen, he sees the realm before him. Ralathor, one of the heroes, greets him to the mystic land of unicorns. In order to defeat Zargothrax, he must charge his hammer, because it doesn't work for now, for science reasons, and must fly into space. Angus discovers a scroll, which tells tales of equipment for wizards, a jetpack of ultimate steel, which would give Angus the power to fly into space. The song is an allusion to 1992, where Angus's ship was called the Laser Dragon. I believe this song is just alluding to that, and he isn't really using the power of a Laser Dragon fire. When Angus has left the land of unicorns, he must roam through Speyside into the deepest dungeons, where in a diamond chest there is an artifact, which he wishes to hold. And now, he holds the legendary enchanted jetpack. Angus can see himself flying in his dreams through the kingdom of Dundee on his jetpack made of cosmic steel. But for now, he must run with the laser trolls have suddenly appeared as Zargothrax has summoned his hordes. Of course, the trolls lose as they are lacking the power of Hoots, and Angus still has his mighty Gloryhammer, however it's not nearly as powerful. After he destroys his chaos creatures, he begins to fly away to realms beyond space where stars lie before him. Not sure how he doesn't die unless there's still oxygen in space. I don't know. Angus continues to fly in space, where he can charge his laser-powered Goblin Smasher, the Gloryhammer, with the power of solar fusion flowing through his veins. He can finally blow away the evil sorcerer. I think that the reason it didn't work was because the Hammer of Glory was heavily modified and maybe needed charge, and it could have been because he travelled back in time and therefore it didn't work against Zargothrax. I don't know. But now that Angus wields his powered up Hammer of Glory, he flies back to Earth and meets with Ralathor, who is the nuclear sub-commander of the Hoots Force. The Hoots Force is literally one submarine, which is Ralathor's nuclear submarine. He's also the leader of the resistance in the Land of Unicorns against Zargothrax. They hop in a submarine and set course to Cowdenbeath, where they will battle against the hordes of chaos and evil. They then fly into the sky and continue going to Cowdenbeath. They don't go to space according to the actual song in the lore, but if you watch the music videos they do, but that's not canon, so yeah. Angus is the scion of Dundee, and he's in a battle of eternity. There is no escaping, and he will always be fighting for Dundee, as told in the prophecy of Anshithra countless centuries ago. However, Angus MacFife XIII is preparing for the final fight against Zargothrax and the forces of chaos, as he is the last hope for this galaxy. Now that the forces of justice, led by the Hoots force, Angus and Ralithor, has arrived in Cowdenbeath, they begin to fight the Death Knights of Krail, who arrive from the Black Gate upon undead eagles. At the front of the Death Knights of Krail stands the Grand Master of Krail himself, Dreadlord Proletius. Proletius, the dickhead, is just killing Scottish peasants until Ralithor decides to fire his final defense, the missiles of nuclear justice, and vaporize the Death Knights. Proletius is now dead. The Hoots force vow that they will stand in their land proud and strong, and when the Dark Lord comes, they will shoot their laser guns for the eternal glory of Dundee. Zargothrax thinks that that's really funny, because he's going to use the power of Solar Conjunction to reach omnipotence beyond his current power, which is seemingly already infinite.
From the heavens comes a hero, mighty Hootsman.
But from the heavens comes a literal Deus Ex Machina in the flesh or cyborg flesh. With a flash of thunder, the mighty Hootsman has arrived, the King of California, with a holy armor made from wolf. Zargothrax thinks he will become the god of the universe. No, because there already is one, the one and only true god, the Hootsman. And with the force of the hammer and the power of the Hoots, the forces of justice attack Zargothrax, bringing destruction to him at last. The Dark Wizard is finally defeated, dissolving into liquid dust. The Kingdom of Fife is saved at last. But in an epic struggle against the sorcerer, Angus looks down and realizes that he had been stabbed, impaled by the knife of evil. He sees Zargothrax dissolve and realizes he himself will be corrupted by the evil power of the cursed blade.
And so he resolves that he must make the final sacrifice for the glory of Dundee. He would end his own life by descending into the raging volcanic fires of Jehalion. It's time! My time must come to die! This is the end! I must stand for it!
But you might be asking, was it all over? It couldn't be. And you'd be right. It isn't. Zargothrax knew that this day would come at one point in his life. So he created those clones, which I said before. These clones only awaken when Zargothrax dies, and he's now dead. So through an interdimensional subspace replay, a clone Zargothrax is awakened in the target year 1022, where a transmission goes through all space and time to awakens, bringing us into the return to the Kingdom of Fife. This whole album takes place in 1992. This whole album takes place in 992 and 993 AD. However, in 1035 AD, Ralithor Prime suddenly disappears and is never to be seen in the Terrorvortex ever again. The transmission is taken through the Terrorvortex dimension into the main timeline, where it now splits into two timelines. Well, there are three now, including the Terrorvortex. He sent a message back in time into a different dimension, it changes the timeline completely. The transmission literally fractures the multiverse into creating a new universe called Universe 38B. Now, Angus MacFife is chilling in his castle. Everyone in the Heroes of Dundee has their duty. Proletius is the leader of the Knights of Krail, the Hootsman does Hootsman things, and Ralithor Prime has a teaching position at the College of Wizards. Then there is a cry of pain and death from the other side of a desolate reality. Zargothrax wakes up and is on a mission to destroy Dundee. This Zargothrax is a clone, so he will be referred to as the Zargothrax clone, or the clone, or Zargi clone, I don't know, whatever I want. He wakes up and immediately does what he's reminded to do, destroy Dundee. And with a nuclear weapon, he does this. The clone literally nukes Dundee, killing Angus MacFife I, melting Proletius, seriously deforming him, but he's still alive. and both Ralathor Prime escapes because he's Ralathor, and the Hoots man is protected by his armor made of wolf and the sheer force of Hoots, allowing him to escape the destruction of the nuclear bomb. Decades after this event, the Kingdom of Fife is completely destroyed. The end of the world is nigh. This universe is highly technological. This may be due to the nuclear bomb forcing Krail to use their technology out of necessity, or it is possible the nuclear explosion covered many advanced ancient technologies. But both robots with lasers and goblins which come from the moon now roam Dundee. However, Dundee is not all lost. The Prince of Fife is safe. Not Angus MacFife I, but Angus MacFife II, who was saved by magic spells magicked by the wizards of the Cairngorms, who hid Angus in a space castle. His quest is to kill Zargothrax. Very original. The clone, however, has the goal to awaken the other Zargothrax, which is still frozen in liquid ice. After he awakens Zargothrax, both of them plan to unleash 1,000 plagues into the world, and all will kneel before the immortal Zargothrax. Wow, also original. Angus will destroy Zargothrax. This is his 4,000th time saying this, with the Hammer of Glory and the Forces of Justice, which continue to roam this land. The Hoots man is a powerful, powerful man, but now he has his own highway, powered by Hoots. Is it a highway guarded by the Hoots Patrol? Yes, and I think that the Hoots Patrol are the Hoots Force, but not. It might just be the Hoots Force aren't created yet. I don't really know what the relevance of this song is, but it's a good song. Now, Krail of course still sits east, where ocean meets the land. The knights, which are now Brotherhood, carry sick-as laser swords, still led by Prolicius. It also tells us that there is a reason that there might be so much technology, and it could be due to the Brotherhood being guardians of ancient technology, and therefore just hoarding it and safeguarding it until it was necessary. Now of course, they still ride on cool eagles, don't worry, but now it's cooler, because they go through apocalyptic skies and hail robots. The Kingdom of Fife is destroyed. They no longer serve the king, and just protect their land from goblins. The Brothers of Krail protect the wastelands and the fortress of Krail, which hold the icy sorcerer. Because of their obsession with robots, it is unknown whether or not they built the robot Prince of Octotool or not. The robot Prince of Octotool is a minor character, which everyone seems to love, by the way. The Hootsman joins Angus in his quest to reclaim Fife. So does Prolicius, because he swore an oath long ago to protect the Kingdom of Fife. Then from a southern mountain comes a hermit, which heeds the call. This hermit, though, is Ralathor 38B, who has memories of nuclear submarines. But I don't think this one ever did, because he's Ralathor 38B, not Ralathor Prime. Ralathor really confuses me. Then the crew is told of a mighty laser blaster, which lies in the citadel which was put there by the Star Lords of Eternity. They now quested the Dwarven caverns which would take them to the Kingdom of Strathclyde. First, however, they quest the caverns below the fallen Dundee, which were lost for centuries even before the fall of Cowdenbeath. Prolicius guides them below. However, they are led by ancestral light, which burns deep inside Angus's heart. They must retrieve the sword to ignite Angus's path, allowing them to revive the lost Kingdom of Fife. Ancient symbols glow, left by the Star Lords of Eternity when they dropped off the relics a long time ago. They encounter a goblin approaching from the shadows of the Dwarven caverns, the Sword Lord of the Goblin Horde. If they were struck, it would be the end of the mighty heroes. The Honourable Goblin says,
As decreed by the ancient code of goblins, I shall yield the secret of this blade only when bested in single combat. But know this, the path can only be revealed if you take its knowledge to the grave. Now enough chatter, prepare for battle.
Angus beats the goblin and he hands him the blade and tells him the secret of the blade whilst yielding. Ralathor 38B realizes that he will be instantly vaporized if he tells anyone the way through the tunnels of the dwarves in the future, and so Ralathor takes his knowledge back to the past through the crack in space-time. where he reveals the knowledge to Angus McFife in the first album. Long ago, the Star Lords of Eternity built the Laser Blaster which would force Zargothrax to yield to Angus. Angus saw this in his dream. Very original. Saw the Vorpal Laser Blaster of Pit and Weem, and he began his quest to find it in the kingdom of Strathclyde. The mighty warriors ride across the plains of East Kilbride, past the icy chasms, all the way to the mountains of Strathclyde, where in the kingdom lies a citadel where a robot guards the way to where he will find the laser blaster, allowing him to smite his foes. They arrived and the chest is right before him, but as he opens it, he realizes there is nothing left. Angus has been deceived by the wizard, who has stolen the Vorpal Laser Blaster of Pit and Weem. With the laser blaster in hand, he can finally bring the double wizard back into reality. The holy quest to break the tomb begins with the clone slashing through the Brotherhood of Krail, far away inside the kingdom, in the fortress of Krail. The heroes prepare for the final fight against the nuclear clone of Zargothrax, who wields the laser blaster. The heroes see that their quest may be doomed, unless they seek the robot prince of Octatool, with eyes ablaze and baronic wings, armor of power steel, and heir of the Mecha King. The heroes charge with unicorns in pursuit, but with the power of the robot, the unicorns will answer to the power of Hoots. Inside the citadel, the containment zone is ahead. The clone overrides the cryogenic seals, and no one could stop him now. The land of Fife will kneel before Zargothrax. After decades of torment, double wizard Zargothrax can finally destroy the Scion of Fife. With a knife and a blaster in hand, they can join at the brain. This is possible because they are the same person. The armies of Angus slowly are killed by Zargothrax, their souls released. It is looking dire for the Prince of Fife. However, what the wizards do not have is the robot prince of Octatool, who dies to the knife of evil. Yeah. But now Angus is face to face with the Twins of Chaos. There is no chance for him to win, right? He wields the hammer, the knife is raised too, and as does the laser blaster, and suddenly, Star Lords of Eternity stop the fight. The three ancient relics of the universe cannot be so close. It would end all time, and due to their meddling, Universe 38B is eradicated, except for the brave Prince Angus, who joins them. By combining the hammer, knife, and the blaster, everyone is destroyed, except both of the Valathors, which escaped previously. Only Angus McFife II is spared from the doom of the universe, and thus the Star-Lords beseech him, quest to the moon, where he must find a new destiny. Far across the endless galaxy, through the holy flaming hammer of unholy cosmic frost, Angus will travel across the universe to fight for what was lost.